This morning, Prince Harry back in Britain, working the crowds and spending time with causes close to his heart.
Prince Harry and King Charles reunite for the first time in 19 months.
What my mother recognized back then, and what I understand now, is that grief is the most painful experience that any child or parent can endure.
The world has been holding its breath for years, waiting, watching, hoping for one moment that seemed impossible. Prince William and Prince Harry, together again. And then, whispers started. Quiet movements behind palace walls, a phone call that wasn't supposed to happen, a conversation that changed everything. Not in front of cameras, not with prepared statements, but in the shadows of a monarchy desperate for healing. Because after years of silence, distance, and public warfare, something shifted in 2025. Something no royal expert predicted. Something that traces back to one person, one legacy, one name that neither brother can escape: Diana. When William finally spoke about their mother in October 2025, the words didn't just break the internet. They broke the wall between two brothers who had forgotten how to be family. Harry heard it. The world heard it. And suddenly, the impossible didn't seem so impossible anymore. This isn't about a photo op or a forced handshake. This is about two sons, still haunted by the woman they lost 28 years ago, finally realizing that the only way forward is through her memory. The reunion the world has been waiting for? It's closer than you think. And it all starts with what William said about Diana. Words that changed everything. The secret meeting that started it all. The announcement didn't come from Buckingham Palace. It came from a leak. A carefully worded source close to the royal family who told The Times on September 12, 2025, something the world had stopped believing was possible. Prince Harry met with His Majesty King Charles on September 10th at Clarence House.
And Prince Harry was seen arriving at Clarence House today for a meeting with his father, King Charles.
The meeting lasted 55 minutes. 55 minutes. After 19 months of complete silence between father and son, no William, no Kate, no royal advisors in the room, just Charles and Harry, face to face, for the first time since the king's coronation in May 2023. The media erupted. Was this reconciliation? Was this manipulation? Royal commentators were split. Some called it brave, others called it dangerous. But the most telling reaction came from Prince William. Sources close to the Prince of Wales revealed that William was not informed about the meeting in advance. He found out the same way the public did, through whispers and leaks. And his response was immediate: frustrated, bewildered. One insider told the Daily Mail, "William feels like Harry is playing games with their father's emotions. He's worried that Charles is being manipulated." It wasn't anger at reconciliation. It was anger at the method, the secrecy, the pattern, because William had seen this before. The emotional appeals, the private conversations, the media leaks that followed. And every time, it ended the same way, with the crown looking weak, with the family looking divided, and with Diana's memory being used as leverage. But this time was different, because William was done staying silent, and what he was about to say about his mother would force everyone, including Harry, to confront the truth they'd been avoiding for years. While Harry was meeting with King Charles, another story was unfolding. One that the media hadn't fully grasped yet. Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, had made a decision. A hard one.
During so much of my life and duty, with Catherine beside him, our new Prince and Princess of Wales.
A final one. They would not respond to any outreach from Harry, not calls, not letters, not intermediaries. Sources confirmed to royal reporters in late 2024, William and Kate haven't initiated or responded to outreach from Harry at all. This wasn't coldness. This was protection. Because for William, every conversation with Harry over the past 5 years had followed the same script. Private words became public narratives. Family discussions became Netflix episodes. Grief became content, and William was tired of it. But more than that, he was tired of watching his mother's legacy be weaponized, used as a shield in interviews, quoted in documentaries, invoked whenever Harry needed sympathy. Diana had become a symbol, but to William, she was still his mother, and he felt like her memory was being exploited. Kate stood beside him in this decision. She had watched William struggle with the balance between duty and family, between silence and defense. And she knew that for their own children, George, Charlotte, and Louis, boundaries had to be set. No more public feuds, no more royal drama played out in the press, no more using Diana's name as a bargaining chip. But then October 2025 arrived, and everything William had been holding back finally came out. Not in anger, not in accusation, but in memory, in tribute, and in a moment so rare, even royal insiders were stunned. October 14th, 2025, Apple TV Plus released a new episode of The Reluctant Traveler, a show where celebrity guests explore unfamiliar places and share personal stories. The guest? Prince William. No one expected what happened next. Sitting in a quiet coastal town, William opened up in a way the public had never seen. Not as the Prince of Wales, not as the future king, but as a brother, as a son. And for the first time in years, he mentioned Harry by name. The host asked him about childhood, about growing up in the public eye, about the pressures of royal life. William paused. Then he said something that would dominate headlines for weeks. "I hope we don't go back to some of the practices in the past that Harry and I had to grow up in." The room went silent. The crew didn't cut. The cameras kept rolling. It wasn't an attack. It wasn't a defense. It was an acknowledgement, a public televised acknowledgement that the way he and Harry were raised, the scrutiny, the media obsession, the lack of privacy, it wasn't healthy. And he didn't want that for his own children. Royal commentators dissected every word. Was this an olive branch? Was this criticism of the late Queen Elizabeth and King Charles's parenting? Was this William finally admitting that Harry's complaints had merit? But what stood out most was the tone. There was no bitterness, no resentment, just sadness. Because William wasn't just talking about the past. He was talking about Diana, about the paparazzi chases, the tabloid headlines, the constant invasion of privacy that followed her until her final breath. And he was admitting, publicly, that it had shaped them both. In different ways, but irreversibly. Harry had dealt with it by leaving, by speaking out, by breaking away from the institution. William had dealt with it by staying, by accepting the role, by carrying the weight. But both were still carrying Diana, her trauma, her legacy, her unfinished story. And in that moment, the world saw something it hadn't seen in years: vulnerability from the future king.
Prince William's heartfelt speech had many looking to him as the future King of England.
Diana, the mother they both still carry. To understand why this moment mattered, you have to understand what Diana means to both brothers. Not the public Diana, not the people's princess, but the mother who raised them in a palace that felt like a prison. Diana died on August 31st, 1997. William was 15. Harry was 12.
The princess, who spent her life in the relentless glare of the public eye, died in a speeding car in Paris.
They walked behind her coffin in front of 2.5 billion people. No tears allowed, no emotion shown. Just two boys in matching suits, following their mother to her grave while the world watched. That image defined them, but it also broke them. William became the protector, the one who stayed silent, the one who carried the crown's expectations without complaint. He honored Diana by continuing her charitable work, by focusing on homelessness, mental health, and children's welfare. He spoke about her, but carefully, always with reverence, always with distance. Harry became the rebel, the one who spoke out, the one who refused to stay silent. He honored Diana by rejecting the system that he believed killed her, by calling out the media, by leaving the institution entirely. He spoke about her, but emotionally, always with pain, always with anger. Two brothers, one mother, two completely different ways of grieving. And for years, that difference tore them apart. But in 2025, something shifted, because both of them, separately, began to realize the same thing. Diana wasn't just their mother, she was their mission. And the only way to truly honor her was to stop fighting each other and start fighting for what she believed in. William's work with homelessness echoed her 1993 visit to a Brixton shelter, where she told young William and Harry, "These are the people we serve." Harry's work with mental health and veterans mirrored her 1997 landmine campaign in Angola, where she said, "I'm not a political figure. I'm a humanitarian." They were both doing her work, just on different continents, in different ways, and the world was starting to notice. The public's reaction: Diana's boys are growing up. Social media exploded after William's Apple TV appearance. Hashtags like #DianaLegacy, #WilliamandHarry, and #RoyalHealing trended for days. People weren't just reacting to what William said, they were reacting to what it meant. For the first time, William wasn't dismissing Harry's pain. He was acknowledging it. He was saying in his own way, "You're right. It was hard. It damaged us." And that changed everything. Royal fan accounts that had spent years defending William or defending Harry suddenly found common ground. Comment sections filled with messages like, "Diana would be so proud that William finally said this. Maybe they can heal after all." This is what she wanted. Her boys united. But it wasn't just fans. Royal historians weighed in. Dr. Anna Whitelock, a royal expert, told BBC News, "This is the most significant shift in royal communication we've seen since Diana's death. William is breaking the silence that the institution has relied on for decades." Polls reflected the shift. A YouGov survey in late October 2025 showed that 62% of Britons believed William and Harry could eventually reconcile. That number was only 31% in 2023. The public wasn't just watching anymore. They were hoping. Because if Diana's boys could find their way back to each other, maybe the monarchy itself could find its way back to the people. But inside the palace, the reaction was very different. Behind the golden gates of Buckingham Palace, William's comments triggered something close to crisis mode. Royal aides were not prepared for this. The carefully managed image of a united, silent, dignified royal family was cracking. And it was cracking from the inside. King Charles was reportedly torn. On one hand, he was proud of William's honesty. On the other, he feared what it might unleash. One senior courtier told the Telegraph, "His Majesty wants his sons to reconcile, but he also knows that every public statement makes that harder, not easier." Queen Camilla's office issued no comment, but sources close to her suggested she was frustrated. She had spent years trying to stabilize Charles's image, to move past the Diana comparisons, to build her own legacy. And now, in 2025, Diana was back, dominating headlines, shaping narratives, defining the future of the crown. Palace press officers scrambled. They issued carefully worded statements, emphasizing continuity and tradition. But they couldn't control the story anymore. Because the story wasn't about the institution. It was about two brothers, and a mother who refused to be forgotten. One leaked memo from a senior advisor reportedly read, "We cannot afford another 1997. The public will not forgive us twice." Translation: if the royal family is seen as cold, as out of touch, as prioritizing image over family again, the monarchy's future is at risk. William knew this, and that's why his words mattered. He wasn't trying to destroy the crown. He was trying to save it by being honest, by being human, by being Diana's son. Harry's silent response. While the world dissected William's words, Harry remained quiet. No interviews, no statements, no social media posts. But those close to him said he was watching, and he was listening. One source told People magazine Harry was moved by what William said. He didn't expect it, but it meant something. For years, Harry had felt like the villain in the royal story, the one who abandoned his family, the one who chose fame over duty, the one who betrayed the crown. But William's words suggested something different, that maybe both of them were victims of a system, of a legacy, of a tragedy they never asked for. Harry's silence wasn't rejection, it was processing, because for the first time, his brother wasn't defending the institution. He was acknowledging the pain, and maybe, just maybe, that was the first step towards something neither of them thought was possible anymore. Not reconciliation, not yet, but understanding. As of October 2025, the royal family stands at a crossroads. King Charles has met with Harry, but William has not. William has spoken publicly about their shared trauma, but he hasn't reached out privately. Harry has stayed silent, but he hasn't left the narrative. And Diana, 28 years after her death, is more present than ever. Plans are quietly being discussed for a joint event in 2027, the 30th anniversary of Diana's death.
Prince Harry is trying to reunite or try to come up with some sort of project where he could reunite with his brother for the 30th anniversary of Diana's death.
Palace insiders say both brothers are being asked to attend, together. No decisions have been made, but the fact that it's even being considered is progress. Because for years, the idea of William and Harry in the same room seemed impossible. Now it seems inevitable. Not because they've forgiven each other, but because Diana's legacy demands it. Her statue stands at Kensington Palace. Unveiled in 2021 by both brothers, it was the last time they were photographed together, side by side. Since then, silence. But silence doesn't last forever, and neither does grief. Royal experts predict that 2026 will be the year of decision. Either the brothers find a way forward, or they formalize the separation. Either the crown adapts, or it calcifies. And Diana's name will be at the center of it all. Princess Diana was born on July 1st, 1961. She married Prince Charles on July 29th, 1981. She died on August 31st, 1997. In her 36 years of life, she redefined what it meant to be royal. She hugged AIDS patients when the world feared them. She walked through minefields to raise awareness. She told the world, "I want to be a queen of people's hearts." And she became exactly that. But her greatest legacy wasn't her charity work. It wasn't her fashion. It wasn't even her rebellion against the crown. Her greatest legacy was her sons. William, the future king, who carries her compassion into every public appearance. Harry, the spare who refused to stay silent, who carries her defiance into every decision. They are both Diana's children, and the world sees it. In William's careful words about mental health.
I think big CEOs coming out and talking about what they're doing, prioritizing mental health within the workplace.
In Harry's raw honesty about trauma, in William's dedication to homelessness, in Harry's work with veterans, in William's protection of his children's privacy, in Harry's rejection of the institution that failed his mother. They are two sides of the same coin, and that coin is stamped with Diana's face. The question now is whether that coin will divide them forever or finally bring them together. There is one moment that royal watchers keep returning to. July 1st, 2021. The unveiling of Diana's statue at Kensington Palace. William and Harry stood side by side. They didn't hug. They didn't speak much. But they were together. For Diana. That was the last time. And the world is waiting for the next time. Because if there's one thing that's become clear in 2025, it's this. The Crown can issue statements. The media can write headlines. The public can take sides. But only William and Harry can decide what Diana's legacy truly means. And only they can decide if her memory will heal them or haunt them. On September 10th, 2025, Prince Harry met with King Charles. 55 minutes, no William. On October 14th, 2025, Prince William spoke publicly about his childhood with Harry. A rare admission. No Harry present, 2 brothers, 1 mother, and a chasm that the world desperately wants them to cross. This isn't a fairy tale. There's no guaranteed happy ending, no royal decree that can fix broken trust. But there is something neither brother can escape, something stronger than anger, than duty, than even the crown itself. Diana. Her voice still echoes in their choices. Her face still appears in their children. Her mission still drives their work. And as long as that's true, there's hope. Not for perfection, not for a Hollywood reunion, but for something quieter, something real. Two brothers who finally realize that the only way to truly honor their mother is to stop fighting in her name and start healing because of it. The world is watching. The crown is waiting. And somewhere, perhaps, Diana is too. Because this story, her story, their story, it's far from over. It's only just beginning.